Did you know that cars release 20% of the world's total pollution annually? This percentage equates to 333 million tons of carbon dioxide released into the air. It's important to monitor and try to reduce the amount of emissions put into the air where we can, so companies must meet standards in their vehicles. These standards prevent cars from producing massive amounts of emissions, and all vehicles in the United States must pass these tests in order to be on the road. In 2015, the Volkswagen Company was revealed to have falsified reports on emissions released by a number of its diesel vehicles in the United States and the European Union. These actions created a media scandal for the company, thanks to the PR storm that followed the revelation. With a cover-up and major damages done, Volkswagen had to enact a plan that would help repair the damage they had done and bring their company's name into a better light once again. In order to analyze the events of the Volkswagen scandal, we must discuss the events and how the company began to move forward using image repair theory. Once we understand image repair theory and how companies use it to fix their image with the media, we can begin to discuss what methods Volkswagen used and whether these methods were successful and effective. We can also estimate methods that might have been a little bit more effective and what other companies can learn from the mistakes that Volkswagen has made. Image repair theory is essentially self-explanatory. It aims to repair an image. Specifically, it aims to repair a negative image made by an event involving a public figure or company. The defense of that image, or apologia, is extremely important. There are a few strategies used in order to maximize the chance that the repair will be successful. The theory is useful in many situations involving an offense that was made on a public level. The reputation has been damaged to either a company or a person, and it wants to be repaired. When a celebrity commits an offense, they want to repair their image. When a company causes a PR disaster, they want to repair their image. There are many applications to this theory. The focus of the theory is to redirect the public to a view that isn't negative. There are various components within image repair theory that are used in combination with each other to move from the negative to the positive. There are various strategies used in image restoration. The common strategies include denial that the offense even occurred in the first place, evading responsibility or pushing it on to someone other than themselves, scaling down the magnitude of the offense or implying that it's not actually as offensive as the public is taking it to be, taking reformative action or moving towards taking action that will correct the problem and make sure that it doesn't happen again, and asking for forgiveness from the public for the actions that have taken place. Typically, you use a combination of these techniques in order to maximize the effectiveness and repair your image. Volkswagen's scandal began in September 2015, when the Environmental Protection Agency revealed that a device had been created to fool emissions tests in the United States. This meant that thousands of Volkswagen vehicles, all that ran on diesel, were putting massive amounts of pollution into the air, much more than allowed by the government agency. By the end of the year, media coverage was growing and more negative details were revealed, causing the company to push forward a public relations campaign in order to salvage their image. Image repair theory applies to this case for many reasons. First and foremost, an event occurred that the public considered to be offensive. In this case, it's considered offensive due to the disastrous effects that pollution can have on the environment. In the time frame that the scandal occurred, the environment and keeping it safe are major social issues, so consumers became angry and upset that a major company could do something like this. Volkswagen needed to work to recreate a positive image in order to regain the public's trust and continue to make a profit with their car sales. The scandal truly began in 2014. The issue broke in August and September of 2015 when the Environmental Protection Agency posted their findings to the public. Full details of how many vehicles were affected came to light by December of 2015. The Volkswagen America boss, Michael Horn, stated that they had broke the trust of the public, and not long after, an internal investigation was launched within the company. It went downhill from that point forward, with contradicting messages about how the company was handling itself and causing an even further downfall in faith among consumers. The initial response by Michael Horn was that they wanted to work to repair their image and that they knew they had made a mistake. Later on, however, Matthias Mueller, another executive, claimed that they did not lie about the events, implying that Volkswagen was not responsible for what was currently happening. The faith in the company dropped, with the company ranking dead last in a Harris poll on companies with images in the United States. The other big step Volkswagen made, partially due to the laws that they had broken, was to establish a buyback program in order to fix the vehicles and bring them up to standard. Consumers were given the option to sell their car back to VW or have it fixed to reduce the emissions released. This process was lengthy and slow due to the amount of vehicles. I know personally because my fiance and I owned one of those vehicles. It took months for things to fall into place. It took forever, and it was complicated in order for us to fix a problem that wasn't even our fault. Consumers were given restitution payments as part of a settlement deal, but it was a major inconvenience. All the while, we felt guilty for driving a car that was continuing to explode pollution into the air. The first message that Volkswagen gives is an apology, which is a good start to any image repair. However, the apology is essentially negated by the fact that later, another executive said they weren't responsible for what was happening, which is confusing and angering for consumers. They took one step forward and two steps back with emotional connection, and that they were trying to repair with their consumers. The only method that Volkswagen used effectively that wasn't contradictory was a corrective action, and this really only occurred because they absolutely had to do it in order to not face even more legal punishment. Volkswagen needed to do better. At this point, they have recovered. The mistake was major, and it had rippling repercussions over the course of the year. The biggest thing Volkswagen needs to do is have a united front. With executives contradicting each other, they create more confusion, distrust, and anger for consumers. Going one step further, they need to continue to be open and transparent with their consumers and work to not have any major event like this happen again. Having a united front will always be incredibly important. With major public relations event, your management and executive team may end up rotating with people coming in and out due to firing or bringing new people in order to save face, but you should stress the need to keep messages to the media consistent and without contradiction. Transparency from the beginning will also save you a lot of hassle later on. And honesty when working with government entities will save you trouble as well. They'll find out what you're hiding, so you might as well come clean once the initial breakthrough has been found. One of the best strategies for a company to have is to have a plan before a crisis even takes place. Obviously, a plan that's made in advance has to be altered and tweaked in order to fit the specific situation, but it is possible to have a framework in place, such as who's talking to the media and what our unified message is, and those should be in place with known media contacts set up and ready to go. Following a strategy that's set in place may help when a crisis in question follows those guidelines. Volkswagen did not appear to have one of those in place, and that is where they really struggled. And they have recovered since then, but moving forward, they should try to do better.